Hi, welcome back to Dear Aunt Susan Advice on Being Human. I am your Aunt Susan Patang from the Quiet Zone Coaching, and today we're going to talk about bitchiness some more, taking it to the next level. Okay, before we begin, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a certified life coach, and I will teach you the life skills that your parents didn't, the ones that involve dealing with stress, dealing with frustration, overcoming irritability and other people's drama, and just the general bullshit of life. Here's your commercial. Go to www.thequietzonecoaching.com to schedule your essential life skills assessment. That is a real session, free. You and I on Zoom together, talking about identifying the top three things that are holding you back from achieving your goals or just waking up happy in the morning. And the number one strategy that you can use to work towards those goals and also to wake up happy in the morning. So that's our commercial. Let's get started. During our last episode, we talked about what causes us to get bitchy. Our unrealistic expectations of other people's behavior and how the world works are generally the biggest culprits, aren't they? Underneath that bitchy behavior, it's our unrealistic expectations, our anger, our frustration, and our irritation. And do you notice how underneath all of that, the need to be in control is there? The more we want to be in control, the more we try to control things, the less likely we are to actually get control. And the more we want control, the more out of control we feel about something somewhere in our lives. So I challenge you to go through what's happening in your life right now and see if you can figure out where you feel out of control. Because a lot of times, and it's not just us, everybody, when people get angry, irritated, bitchy, okay, it usually doesn't have anything to do with us. It has to do with something that's going on in their lives. And the same thing applies to us. So look to see what in your life you feel out of control over. And that's probably what's causing those negative emotions that are making you bitchy. Okay. And also adding to your unrealistic expectations, which are a root of being bitchy. So, one of the first things that we did last week was to identify and label those bitchy emotions. And they usually involve anger, irritation, frustration, sometimes overwhelm, that feeling of overwhelm. So, for today, because this can be a complicated and difficult issue to work through, we're going to use the example of getting cut off in traffic because I think most of us can relate to that in some way. We've all been cut off in traffic and gotten angry over it at some point in our lives, right? So the statement is going to sound like this: I'm irritated because I got cut off in traffic again, or I'm angry, or I'm frustrated. You're identifying and labeling that emotion. You're taking it from one big, huge honking cloud over your head and shrinking it down to a label. The next step in unpacking that emotion so that you don't repeat the same behaviors over and over again, and that's why we work through them, is to ask yourself why. Why did getting cut off in traffic make you so angry? And your answers might be things like, how dare he cut me off in traffic? Okay, so now what you're doing is you're making yourself more important than the other people on the road. You might be angry because he's getting away with it. There's no cop there. You might be angry because it's not safe, because he shouldn't, quote unquote, have done that. The shoulds and oughts. Okay. No, he shouldn't have done that. Okay. But you have to put those fires out with logic and reason. And before you can do that, you have to pick apart the emotion and work your way back. Why do you feel like he shouldn't cut you off? Why do you feel like it was unsafe? Why is it important to you for somebody else to behave the way you think they should behave? And if you take a look into your past, into your childhood, your early adulthood, even a month ago, you may find an event, now not always, but you may find and usually will find an event that is actually the root of why you get pissed off when somebody cuts you off in traffic. So when you ask yourself why, you're coming up with these things like he shouldn't do that. He's not safe. How dare he? He's getting away with it. What the hell? Okay. If you look back in your past, there might be a time when you were a kid when somebody got away with doing something and you didn't, or somebody else was allowed to do something and you weren't, or you got blamed for something that somebody else did. And that could actually be the root cause of your anger over getting cut off in traffic. It may and it may not, but it's worth looking because a lot of times those things that happen to us when we're children, they give us a wee little tiny scar. And that scar can come back and haunt us later. So take a look at that. You want to make sure there's nothing that you're dragging forward with you. And it might even be a big thing. So take a peek. Understanding where those emotions come from is the first step towards healing them. The second step, as I just mentioned, was pouring logic on the fire. So if you understand that I feel like he shouldn't have done that because of something that happened when I was a kid, when somebody got away with something that they shouldn't have gotten away with, okay, that's okay. Well, that's not logical because that's not happening right now. This is something completely different. The logic of the situation is we have no control over somebody else's behavior, do we? As much as we like to, as much as we know that we're right and that they shouldn't have done that, we still can't control what somebody else does. There's pouring your logic onto the fire and putting the fire out. Okay. I can't control what somebody else does. Whether I think somebody should or should not have behaved that way isn't going to change a damn thing, is it? Okay. What it's going to do, and here's your logic and reason again, it's going to make you upset. It's going to make you angry and it's going to make you frustrated. And he's going to drive away oblivious to what he's done. Well, life isn't fair, isn't it? But you don't have control over him. You do have control over you. So I'm going to choose to let that go. Okay. And also, another thing you can do, and this is just a little aside, when somebody does you dirt, it can be very fascinating to explore why they might have done that to you. Maybe he's on his way to the hospital. Maybe he's late for work and he'll be fired if he doesn't get there on time. Or maybe he's just a jerk. You don't know. But by having a little bit of compassion for somebody else's situation and why would they do that? Sometimes that just helps bring our anger and irritation level down and say, wow, it must really suck to be him if that's the way his life is, right? So have a little bit of compassion for what somebody may or may not be going through and pour a little logic onto those wounds, okay? And you can also go back to the power questions that we learned last week. So do you remember that? Okay, so we'll go over that real fast. How important is this really? And in this case, it's going to be how important is this right now? Okay. It's done. It's over. It's in the past. Okay. Nothing you can do to change it. Logically, you can't change what happened. But what you can do logically is control your anger and irritation over it. What is something positive and constructive that you can do about it? And I'm not talking about pulling up next to him and giving him the finger. Okay. That's not positive and constructive. Road rage isn't going to help anything. Okay, so what I can do is I can put on some music to make me feel better. I can get off this road so that it's not so stressful for me. I can get on to another route. Um, there's nothing I can really do about it, so I'm going to let it go. I'm going to work through the emotion. What emotions are you letting drive? Okay, there's your identify and label. Okay, and all right, so I was angry and frustrated, and I know why I was angry and frustrated, and I understand that that was not a logical response. And I can now promise myself that I can do better. Okay, there's something positive and wonderful that you could take from that. What would the person I want to be do in this situation? So, do you want to be bitchy? Do you want to be angry? Do you want to be have unrealistic expectations, or do you want to enjoy your life and you want to feel happy? What makes more sense? Does it make sense? And here's your logic and reason again. Does it make sense to be angry and to fume about it for hours? Or does it make more sense to go, that's, I don't even know this guy. I'm not going to let him control my life. Let it go. I'm going to enjoy what's happening to me today. I'm going to find something wonderful, awesome, and amazing about this day for me. Okay. And what is the person that you want to be? Who is your ideal avatar? How would that person react? What would your hero do? Okay. How do you want to feel at the end of the day? Do you want to be happy and pleased and proud that you dealt with a negative situation so positively and you made a good day out of a bad event? Or do you want to feel guilty that you didn't handle it as well and you ruined your day for yourself and for other people by being bitchy? Think about that. Bonus question. What's a lesson that I can learn from this situation? Okay. I can learn at the very least, the answer is I can learn how strong I am and how smart I am for figuring out that this was not worth wasting my time over. Pat myself on the back, a huge round of applause. And now I know that going forward, I'm not going to let this happen to me again. Right? Did you enjoy what you learned today? There is so much more to life than just the work home grind. I can teach you the life skills that we never learned from our dysfunctional families. And I know that these skills work because this is how I survived anxiety and depression when nothing else helped. So go to www.thequietzonecoaching.com to discover how you can start waking up happy in the morning for a change. And remember, I talked to you at the beginning of the episode about that essential life skills assessment. That's free. Go to my website and make an appointment. There's a contact page there with a link to my calendar, or you can send me an email and tell me about what's going on in your life. And we'll meet and have a real session and we'll talk about it. www.thequietzonecoaching.com. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I look forward to seeing you again next week.